Hey y'all. Um, so today I was thinking I wanted to recount my experiences uh, in the in the county jail. Um, if you watched my other videos, you know that I am formerly incarcerated and I'm on parole and probation at the same time as part of my plea bargain. Um, I'll get to that later. So I guess just the first thing that I want to say about uh, being incarcerated is that it fucks with your head, you know? Like imagine being in a space where there are cameras everywhere looking at you. You're on camera all the time, being watched uh, for your own good, they say. And there are okay, so first of all, I want to say that um, I was treated differently because I am transgender. Um, I was treated very, very differently. Um, in the main jail here in my county, they segregate the men and the women. I think that's that's normal. A lot of places do that. But they didn't put me with either the men or the women. I didn't even get an option. Well, I'll get to that later. Um, but when I first came in, I was in the middle of a mental health crisis. Um, so they put me in the mental health unit, which makes sense, I guess. Uh, it it was really heartbreaking being in the mental health unit and knowing that these people, like myself included, like we weren't getting help. We weren't being helped. We were being punished for being crazy, you know. And so when I first got arrested and went to jail, you know, they process you. They take off all your, they search you. They take off all your clothes. Well, actually, I came from the hospital, so I was in a hospital gown, which is mortifying. But yeah, they do your fingerprints. They document you. They inspect you. um, they didn't cavity search me, which was I'm grateful for that. Um, but so my first month in jail, it was still pretty mentally not in a good place. Like I wasn't suicidal, but I did uh, I did attempt suicide before I was arrested, like right before I was arrested, um, and that they knew about that. Obviously, they know everything about you. um, so I was in the mental health unit, um, and there's a whole lot of reasons why that was terrible, but I'll get to that in a sec. Um, but that's what I wanted to talk about. I after I was stable or whatever, I didn't need to be in the mental health unit anymore, but they kept me there, um, and I didn't I didn't really contest it. I like I said, I was in a bad place and I felt very powerless and like I wasn't able to contest anything. But when I did start to contest my segregation, they gave me a whole they they kept changing their story back and forth. They gave me all these bullshit reasons, but the two that they gave the most was that it would be for my safety, which is bullshit. I didn't believe that for a second. And they also said, because I wanted to go into the women's unit, because you get more privileges and stuff when you're in an open unit as opposed to the lockdown unit, which is the one I was in, the mental health unit. In the mental health unit, there everybody gets single cells, you know, so you're not roomed with anybody. But you only get one single hour out of your cell every day. 23 hours in and 1 hour out to shower and use the phone and walk around. That's all you get, 1 hour. Um, so that was pretty hard. There was a few women in the mental health unit with me, and we got to program together for a while. Programming means you just agree like to not kill each other, and then you can get more time out of your cells together. That's basically what they do in the open units. Everybody comes out together, and they get all day out basically. Um, but not so in the mental health unit. But they wanted to. They said it was. They kept switching. They said alternately it was for my safety, and it was for the women's safety, because obviously you can't have a man in the women's unit. Oh, scary. No, I'm not a man. I'm not dangerous to anybody. I wasn't then, and I'm still not. But they segregated me anyway, and it was okay. It was okay for a few months when I had some. They came to be my friends, I suppose. When I had friends that I could program with, and at one point I was getting about 6 hours out of my cell every day, and then 3 for a while, and then I was down to 1 for about 6 months. 6 months I was by myself. Occasionally, other women would come in and we'd be able to program together. It's weird the way they do it, because legally I'm female. They classified me as female in their system. So they would only let me program with other females, but only in the mental health unit. They wouldn't let me go to the open unit, the general population, which doesn't make any sense. And one of the reasons why the mental health unit was so bad was, like I said, it was painful for me to see all these people with like severe issues that's just not being helped, just being locked in a small room. Like the cells are smaller than this hotel room that I'm in right now. It's really it's a really traumatic experience, with the constant surveillance and the guards. The guards talk down to you constantly, like they. It's very patronizing. Like some of them are nice, like nice people. They were kind, but they're still doing their job, which was to like physically restrain and intimidate people and limit people's freedom, which is not good. But the mental health unit, it was pretty bad. Like I feel for people. People have issues that they need help with, but there were many times when it was just like too much for me to handle. Like people were screaming and cursing and banging on the doors. Like the doors were these huge like thick metal doors, and they rattled in the door frame. So if you kicked it really hard, it would rattle, and it was really loud. And people would do that all the time, and people were screaming, and it was really hard to deal with, like on a near constant basis. And there was even one guy in there. He decided to smear his shit all over the walls, all over. So the whole unit smelled like shit for like 2 or 3 weeks, as long as he was there, and it was just bad. But I made it through. And oh, that's right. They allowed me to stay on my hormone treatment while I was there, but they still wouldn't let me go to the general population with the females, and they did offer me at one point. I was going so crazy, just being like in a room for 23 hours every day, and just got so bad that they offered me to go to the men's unit, and I was considering it. I didn't think it would be that bad, honestly. Like I've heard terrible things about trans women being horribly beaten and just all kinds of terrible things, but I honestly didn't think it would be that bad, so I said yes. I said yes, that I would do that, but then they wouldn't let me go to the men's unit while I was still on my hormones. So they were trying to have it both ways, like, oh yeah, we respect trans people, you know, we respect that people can be be themselves, be who they are, you know, type of thing. And I got to stay on my hormones, but they wouldn't treat me the same as all the other people there, which was just really hard, you know. And the entire time that I was there, right up until the end, I was expecting to go to trial for my case, to prove that I had at least diminished responsibility for for my actions because of my mental health. But it turned out that I didn't have to go to trial, and but I thought I did, and it was really stressful, and I was having really bad anxiety and panic attacks all the time, so I had to go on an anti-anxiety medication, which I'm not on anymore. But I got a plea bargain, which includes parole and probation, and I had to plead guilty to a felony, which is permanently on my record. I can't get it expunged or anything. And I have a strike. I live in California, so they do the 3 strikes. So I have a strike on my record now, and if I ever am forced to be arrested again, if I'm ever charged with anything, it'll be about like 10 times worse. I don't know, something like that, for my second strike. And that's right. Speaking of mental health, yeah, like I said, I wasn't suicidal when I got there, because, well, they obviously don't give you a lot of options. You know, no sharp objects, nothing really. So I wasn't suicidal, but I definitely had a death wish, I guess you could say. And one night, I was having really bad insomnia, and just a bad time all around. And I was asking for help, and the guard, he asked me if I was okay, and I said I would rather be dead than stay in this cell anymore, and he took that to mean that I had a plan to kill myself, which I did not. I wasn't suicidal. So what they do when they think you're suicidal is they take you out of your cell, they take you down to the, or well, they put you in the safety cell, which is basically, it's just a padded room. They had 2 of them. I went to the bad one. I went to the really bad one. The one in my unit was full, I guess, had somebody in it, but the one that I went to didn't have a toilet. It just had a hole in the floor, which was filled with excrement, and the walls too were covered in urine, and so that's how they treat people who are suicidal. But what they did before that is I used to have a lip piercing, and my ears are still pierced, but I had piercings in there too. So what they did was they don't let you have anything when you're in the suicide room. So they held me down, and they took out all my piercings by force. They held my head. It took a whole team of them to hold me down, because I was just crying. I was panicking. I did not want to go in that room. But they took out all my piercings, and then they took off my jail uniform. You're not allowed to have that either. So I was naked in the very cold, very dirty, filthy suicide room, with a camera pointed at me for about 12 hours, because the crisis intervention team, the mental health workers there, they don't work nights. So I had to wait all night, and then an extra hour because they have a morning meeting. They couldn't come see me before their meeting. So I had to wait 12 hours to see a mental health person to get cleared because they're the only people who are, I guess, smart enough to tell if someone is really suicidal or not. So that was probably the worst day of my entire life so far. Very traumatic, and hugely immoral, and just I don't understand how anyone can think that that's good for a person, like especially a person who's suicidal. Like, you're gonna take away all their clothes and their blanket and make their life even worse? What kind of logic is that? It doesn't make any sense. And some of the guards there were, like I said, they were nice. There were definitely some sadistic assholes there too. One of the guards, even while I was there, he got busted for having sex with some of the prisoners there, and I mean, obviously that the situation is terrible. Like, he was extorting sex from people, from women. But I thought it was really funny that he got busted. It's, the hypocrisy of it all. I forgot what I was going to say next. Yeah, there are some nice people working there too. They're friendly, I guess, and some of them even they hated their job. They didn't think that they were doing anything valuable, really. They criticized the way that things are being done, not in any kind of radical way, like a very liberal reformist way, like, oh well, we need the jails, but they were on board with people shouldn't be put in jail for having issues with substances or mental health, or being homeless or petty theft. That was mostly the people that I saw. Well, because I was in the mental health unit, I saw a lot of people with mental health issues, but I saw a lot of people with substance use issues, and most everybody, I think, who came to the jail was homeless at the time, or had been. A lot of precariously housed people, and it's really terrible how they treat people who are kicking drugs. A lot of people coming in, they were kicking heroin, because obviously you can't get heroin in jail. So they had to detox, and the most that they do for you while you're detoxing is they'll give you a little cup of Gatorade, little cup of Gatorade to keep you going. And somebody actually died in that jail because she was withdrawing really bad off of heroin, and they didn't do anything for her, and she died. And it was like 2 or 3 years ago. But yeah, the whole experience was pretty terrible, and like all the stuff you'd expect too. Like it wasn't comfortable. Everything was made of concrete. These thin little mattresses between you and the concrete. Um, they had TV, but it was, you know, garbage. They played a lot of shitty like MTV reality shows like fucking Jersey Shore and a bunch of bullshit. Uh, Sports. They played a lot of sports. I don't like sports, but I guess, you know, a lot of the guys in there like sports, so that's good, I guess. But it's really unjust. It's not okay to do that to people. It's it doesn't work, you know? A lot of the people who I met in there, they'd been in there multiple times, like over and over and over again, because they're not getting support. They're not getting rehabilitated or, you know, anything like that. People aren't getting help. People's lives still suck. That's why they do drugs, you know? Obviously, it's an economic issue when you can't afford housing, you know, when you're sleeping on the streets. It's an economic issue when you have to steal things to make your rent or to eat, you know? And it's just a bad way to do things. I've seen a lot of videos on like anarchist position on crime and incarceration, but maybe I'll make one like that, just add some more. I'll probably just be rehashing a lot of the same stuff, but I don't know. If anybody's interested, I'll talk about that too. Because the way that we do things now is not justice. It's not justice at all. Like, if anybody tells you that this is the right way to do things, that it's working, that it's... I lost my train of thought. Well, I don't know. People who say that kind of shit, that it is justice, they're either lying or... oh, fuck. Whatever. It's a bad ending to this video. I'm tired. But... alright, video's over. Stop.